Good morning. My name is Natalie Gregg, and I am managing partner for the Law Office of Natalie Gregg. And I have two guests here, Todd and Colleen Frost, and they are expert realtors in the area, and they're here to school us on how to find a house, how to sell a house, and what the market trends are doing in this year and going into 2024. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We're so excited to be here.
I'm so happy to have you guys.
Yeah.
So can you tell our viewers what's going on right now?
The market is definitely a little bit softer than it was, say, a year and a half ago, but we've actually just seen a trend turning probably in the last 2 weeks. So it's starting to get a little bit busier for our sellers, getting a little bit more challenging for a buyer out there, but that's really just happened since, I would say, the second week of November. So that's good. Yeah.
Yeah. Interest rates have come down.
Yeah.
So I think that's helped with, some of the activity that we've seen lately and people wanting to get into homes before the end of the year, et cetera, and stuff like that. So hopefully we'll see a continued decrease in the interest rate, which hopefully gets some of those buyers off the sideline type thing. So.
And
Yeah.
so with it being December, is this a challenging month for you guys?
It's always interesting. I mean, we've had Decembers that have been just massive in the past type thing, and it's just random year to year. But sometimes it's relocation where they're moving here, they want to get their kids into school, for January type of thing. But it varies year to year. It definitely sometimes slows down towards the end of the year with Christmas and stuff like that. But sometimes December's, you just never know. It's random, but we've definitely had large months where you think it's freezing cold out and no one's looking. Well, it's normally when there's not a lot of inventory. There's it's not a bad time to list your home. We've seen busy Decembers before.
I feel like the people that list their home in December, the buyers that are coming out, they're serious. They're not tire kickers.
Yeah.
So yeah, when they're going to write, we're going to get it to the finish line.
So there's not the concern that you list it on the market and then it goes and sits for a month, and then you have those days on the market that might not necessarily be true days on the market.
Yeah, and I think a part of that is you just want to make sure the house, we like all of our listings to be triple turnkey, ready to go, and then you want to make sure it's not only priced correctly but marketed correctly. So if you do all those things, it's going to sell even in the winter.
And so for people out there who don't know what triple turnkey is, could you tell?
Yeah, triple turnkey is we just want to make sure that the house, just shows almost like I like our listings to show like new construction. So we want to make sure that everything is neutral paint, new flooring if it's, 10-year-old carpet. People don't want to put 20% down and then have to find where they get the carpet sample and how they have that. I have a tool belt of contractors. So we go in there, make sure that the house looks well, is priced correctly. I always say clutter eats equity. So we make sure that all of the clutter is put away. You're going to be moving anyhow. So go ahead and box that up now so we can make it look like no one lives there. It works.
And so maybe taking some of the personality out of it.
Yeah. We also, if you go into new construction, having all the blinds up, you'll notice in new construction, they don't even have blinds on their windows because light really has a big play in the house. So we'll make sure all the blinds are up, make sure we have all of the family photos removed because people really want to see themselves in the house, not your family. And a lot of appraisers, if there is a loan attached to it, FHA and some loan programs, they don't want, when they're going in to take pictures for the underwriters, they don't want the religious artifacts or home family photos in those pictures. So yeah, it does help.
What is your take on pets? I just had a case a couple weeks ago, and the judge went into this long diatribe of the 3 cats and how they should be able to stay in their home over the holidays, and I didn't think cats really cared about where they lived. But what would you say to a buyer who's getting a divorce and wants to sell a house and really wants their cats to stay in the family home?
If you were to rent a home or rent a hotel room, you're at the Renaissance in Atlanta, Georgia, and you walk in and there's cats in there. You're not going to feel like you want to stay the night there. So yeah, we try in a perfect world, we don't live in a perfect world, but if in a perfect world we can remove the dogs and the cats, dogs bark, creates anxiety for the buyer and the buyer agent. Cats, a lot of people, including our own buyers, they have allergies. So I've actually opened a door, walked through the threshold, and they said, we can't see this property because we're allergic to cats, and they can, they pick up on the dander and all of that. So they got to go. And the litter boxes, we got to go. Yeah.
So let's get rid of the litter boxes and probably also the Christmas trees.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we try to not have the holiday. So a lot of times if our houses are going to list Q1 of the following year, when a seller calls us at the end of the year, if I can photograph the inside of the property and actually the exterior because it shows well in the fall before, you know, the dead of winter comes and they want to list in February, if I can have all of that, so we backwards engineer it, get everything done, go into a holding pattern, they put their Christmas stuff away and we click the button.
So ideally it would be first of year for you guys.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever had a situation where you had to do a receivership?
We have. We personally are not
Yeah.
receivers
Yeah.
of the court, but we've, you know, I guess you can answer to that, like how we've worked around that.
I think, like doing the whole thing, right? Like collecting doing the whole 9 yards and stuff like that. We haven't done that directly type thing yet.
We've been involved where there's a receiver there and then we're the agents on it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And
That's right.
could you explain what your role is in that and why the court would have to appoint someone because people are arguing over even the price, the day they list, the agent that lists, how it even happens?
Yeah, I mean, we've had those situations where, you know, we kind of get a phone call and stuff like that, and, you know, hi, I'm Joe and stuff like that, and the court's appointed you to sell our house. We're like, hi, how are you doing? So that process, you know, normally goes pretty smooth, right? We're kind of a neutral, you know, third party. We don't know anybody kind of thing, right? And then we just kind of use our expertise to work with both parties. You know, if there's any kind of, you know, situation, sometimes, you know, the spouses don't, you know, they don't want to be in communication with each other, kind of all tied together. So we'll be able to divide that up type thing. And sometimes Colleen might be able to talk to one of the spouses. I'll talk to the other one or something like that. You know, whatever we need to do to get it as across the finish line. And, you know,
I feel like a lot of people going through a divorce, they appreciate that there's two of us because they feel like they're getting separate counsel, but collectively together. And depending on the personality or what's going on, I may be talking to one party and he's talking to the other party, and we're able to make them feel protected and heard and valued and giving them counsel because there's a lot of counseling involved in it, you know.
So can you speak to that personal piece? I know that in my line of work, and we're friends, and you've helped me in real estate before, but in my line of work, it's not just here's your money, here's your kids, see you later. There's a lot of emotion that's tied to assets. Yeah,
and for some reason, I like the listing side of that and the emotional side of that. I like to counsel and help where I can. We've never been divorced, so I haven't walked that path, but I've had loss in my life in other forms, so I understand what loss is like. But I like being a part of that and being able to counsel them and whatever I can do to make it just an easier transaction for all parties and everyone involved, and getting them through. I think having that tool belt of everything that they need, and when they are working with us, we know that it goes beyond. It's not like I'm done with a transaction and never talk to those people again. I can help them with, you know, maybe they need financial advisors, maybe they need attorneys, maybe whatever it is, a hairstylist, you know, whatever it is. I like to be able to help whatever the other side that they're walking into their next chapter. So I think I like that part. Yeah.
And have you guys been involved with couples who have, in the middle of the process, either decided we're going to get a divorce or we're going to make a big transition in our relationship?
That's a good one.
We've been on a transaction years ago where the day of closing we got a call from the other agent and the couple they decided to divorce and they weren't going to close on the property. And speaking with the agent, I think it was like a knee-jerk reaction. We got them to close still. And I don't know whatever happened to them if they ended up divorcing. But have we personally, I don't know if we've personally been
in the middle of a transaction. Well, we know that there's been ones where that was going to be the end result of the transaction. One party knew that and the other party kind of didn't. I did. I was involved in one in Dallas where I knew that he was
partaking in extracurricular activities outside of the marriage.
Lovely.
And she, after closing, she had already boxed. He wasn't participating in any of the packing. So she had spoken with the movers, and she said anything with this initial on the boxes goes to this location. Everything else goes to the location where he is going. He did not know this. And she tipped them very well. And so they closed the truck, and he said, okay, I'll see you at my mom and dad's. And she said, no, I'm going somewhere else. And she moved one way, and he moved, and I was aware of that. But we had closed the transaction.
So as long as it's nice and tidy, it's not too bad, right?
That's right.
As long as we've closed and funded.
Right.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, so I have clients who many times sell real estate in the middle of the divorce. It's one of the largest assets usually
Sure.
in someone's estate.
Mm-hmm.
And do you have any tips on how to make it cleanest for title closing, for prepping it, for communication with realtors, just kind of some do's and don'ts of functioning?
If they haven't divorced yet and the assets haven't been figured out, as long as there's, I guess, a legal instrument between both parties and their attorneys of, even though it hasn't been finalized that she's going to get 50% and he's going to get 50% or whatever that division of assets is ahead of time. And also making sure there's an instrument if one of those parties is going out and purchasing that the other party will not have any
Ownership
interest of that property. So as long as because otherwise we just have to slow roll it out. We're like, you can't just go out and buy something because you want to go buy something. You have
Sure.
to, you have counsel.
Right.
So we always point them back to the counsel, making sure that is done. And just making sure we have that division of assets before we click the listing button. Because what if we sell it that first weekend out and it's cash closing and we've done as fast as 3 days in Lucas one time, and if that is not worked out ahead of time, you've really put yourself in a bad situation.
And when you say the best way to do that would be having something on file with the court or an agreement with the parties,
Right.
That's signed by everyone, including the attorneys.
Yes.
With wiring instructions.
Yes.
Signed, sealed, delivered.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you guys seeing the average home buyer? I read and heard that the average home buyer is older and the average price of their first home is less than what it used to be, pro rata.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, the average buyer age is older, right? It's tough getting out of college, trying to buy a home, right? I mean, the average starting home price, in Dallas has gone up, almost double. I mean, it's a lot higher than it used to be. So it's for young people to buy into this market has been difficult. Now with interest rates, it's almost impossible at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely the average age of the buyers are older. As far, what was the other part of it?
So pro rata, I mean, obviously $1 today
Sure.
was worth a
Yeah,
lot more.
That's right. Yeah.
20 years ago.
Correct. Yeah.
So
the inflation has taken a hit on stuff too. Yeah. So all of that combined with wages not keeping right in check with that, it's definitely made it more difficult for people to buy homes.
well, I love that the starter home is like $500, and that's just
I know.
a baseline. Is that what would you say a starter
like-
home
I
is?
mean,
Well, our son just bought one.
Yeah.
He's 24.
Yeah.
He had to move out to Farmersville.
Yeah.
And he
Okay.
got the cutest home, but it was like $270
Yeah.
for a starter
Right.
home.
And how far is Farmersville from here? If people want to
It's
know?
out. It's 380 and 78,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
so it's 45 minutes from here.
Yeah.
So we'll see him once a month because he's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get a similar home, in Salina, which is expensive area, for the same amount, 2 or 3 years ago type of thing. Now that same starter home in Salina that was $270, 2 or 3 years ago is now $450. It's for the same house.
So I get a lot of people, obviously they sell their home, and now I say it's not like Oprah anymore. You get a home and you get a home.
Right.
Maybe you're going to have to rent for a bit.
Sure.
or look into other things like condos or apartments,
Yeah.
God forbid. But what would your advice be to in these newly divorced, clients that are looking into the market? What's a good investment, or what should they do?
I answer it a little bit differently. It's probably not really smart realtor wise, but I feel like, again, I've never been through a divorce, but I feel like sometimes after you go through something so emotional, you might just need a breather, and that's okay. So a lot of times we will, talk to our clients, and if they want to sell and just take a minute, get a 6-month lease and just take a break. Get some things taken care of, maybe pay some bills off, work with a credit person to, be able to get the best interest rate and come back in the market at a later time. That's okay. So I'm not going to strong arm them and give them advice of like, a lot of times they'll say, it's 1 sell, 2 buys. Sometimes they're not prepared and ready for that, and they don't know where they're at, and they may make a knee-jerk reaction, and then I'm just selling their house again a year later because they didn't buy what they wanted to. So we try to listen to them, unless there's children involved and they have to be in a certain school district. They can still lease a home. I think, it's good to take a break. Just take a minute. You don't have to make a 7-10 year commitment, because it's a commitment and you just got out of a serious commitment. Give yourself a minute.
Yeah. I think the big thing is, and normally we have in-depth conversations with all our clients to, we're not just selling your house. We want to help you get to the next point. Where are you at now? What's important to you? All that kind of stuff. But yeah, making a knee-jerk reaction and buying something you might not want to buy, right? That may be a mistake as well, type things. So, not rushing into something is probably a key. But a lot of people are like, I've been in a home forever. I have to be in another home. And if that's the case, okay, let's do that. Let's figure that out. And we'll, scour everything to see if we can find what you want. But like I said, in this market, inventory's it's pretty slim pickings. It doesn't matter where you are, down in the city, McKinney, Allen. I mean, there's homes out there, but the inventory levels are really low. Yeah.
Well, and I feel like sometimes the client feels like, especially if they're not the one who wanted the divorce,
right? And
they feel like they've been forced into the situation where now I don't have a home, my kids are displaced, we have to find a new school district. There's some resentment there.
Yep.
And how do you guys kind of deal with that and steering that away from making a bad financial choice based on resentment?
It's tough. Luckily she's a pretty good psychologist. I normally that's where I kind of step back normally.
Didn't go to med school, but
she's a good psychologist.
I've done this a couple times with some clients where, and this has worked out, where sometimes new construction is good because it's a new beginning. And I found with a recent client where she did not ask for the divorce. We put her in new construction. And it's like a plug and play. It's like all of a sudden in new construction, everyone wants to come out. Their garage doors stay open. They want to get to know each other. There's more, things going on like bunco or a book group or whatever. They're walking together. So you have like an instantaneous plug and play new start. So I think if it fits their school district area or their parameters of where they want to live and work, new construction can be a really good answer for that because it's a new beginning.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Are there any other areas that you've thought of? I know you mentioned Anna. I've been out there because one of my friends is building a house there, and it seems like, the garage doors are open. Everyone's kind of out chit-chatting, not as established. And is there any other area like that you feel is affordable and kind of a new space?
Well, Prosper is, they're, where Legacy West is and all of that's built up. They're building a new one like on steroids up there. So, in the PGA and all of that. So that area, North Frisco, Prosper, that's great. I don't know if it's affordable, but Farmersville, where my son, phase 1 of 8 phases, and they're great homes.
Yeah, they actually built very well. Yeah.
Really, really good homes out there, and it's called Lake Haven. So again, if someone works from home and they want to be in the beginning, it's always good to be in the beginning or the closeout of a development. So if you can get in, that's another really, really up and coming area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do clients figure that out, whether it's the beginning or the end?
They go to ColleenFrost.com. they call me. We'll take care of the rest.
Okay.
Yeah, just kind of, it's a counseling session, finding out what their needs and wants are to make sure I can hit what their parameters are of if they work from home or if they have to go into work maybe 2-3 days a week or if they have to go in 5 days a week, if they have children. Yeah. If they want to be in an HOA, if they don't want to be in an HOA, that's a big one too.
Yeah.
And do you find that currently people are selling their rental properties, or are they hanging tight?
Good question.
Kind of hanging tight.
I think they're mostly hanging tight. we haven't personally sold a lot of our folks' investment homes lately. We have clients that have investment homes. They're all hanging on to them.
They're hanging on to them right now.
So, yeah, from our experience, they're holding. Again, there's just not a lot of inventory out there. So, the purchasers, right, the investors that want to buy, it's kind of just slim pickings right now for them. So I think everyone's kind of in this holding pattern. They're kind of waiting. I think, if they can, they're waiting for interest rates to come down. If interest rates come down, more buyers are going to come out. Then some of those sellers may loosen up a little bit if they want to make a move type of thing. The dynamics will be interesting. And this next year will be interesting with the elections and everything else. And it should be an interesting year. We'll see.
They're anticipating Q1, Q2 to be kind of like last year, and then 3 and 4 to be as we get closer to elections, rates will continue to peter down. And then I think 2025, as I've been telling all the girls on our team, go take your vacations and go, to Europe or wherever it is you want to do in 2024. Because I feel like in 2025, we're going to have to lace up our sneakers. We're going to be quite busy.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting.
I like being busy. Yeah.
Well, I just remember my parents. So in 1981, I moved here from Hawaii. And my parents, I just remember them, 18% for mortgages. And, they were making triple payments a month. Do you see that this next crop of new home buyers, once it goes down and 2025 is going gangbusters, do you think they're going to be gun shy, or do you think they're going to partake?
I think they're going to partake. I think it's going to be like, once they're in the high fives, it's going to be palatable. And they're going to realize they're never going back where they were. They should have never gone that low to begin with. They're never going that low again. So they'll realize that eventually they're going to want to get out of their apartment or their temporary lease, and they're going to want to make it's going to become normal.
The new normal.
The new normal. Which, I mean, seriously, 5-6 isn't really that bad. I know. It's water cooler talk. I think sometimes people get around the campfire, the water cooler, and they're like, "Oh, I got 3 1/4," and you're like, "Who cares? You paid $30,000 over list. I paid $50,000 under, and I got 6, and I'm going to refi in 24 months." So
Well, when you look at different markets, and especially when speaking to a lot of my clients are transplants from California, New York. They look at our market and they're just like, this is amazing, right? The land that you can get, the value, how close everything is to the city.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm just always trying to find new places for people to move, though, because I scratch my head and I say, well, once you check it out down the street, and they're like, well, rent on an apartment is $3,000 a month for a two.
Yeah.
And we're looking at people who want, places for their dogs to run and their kids to be near their friends. And so I feel like sometimes, is it possible to have it all?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
It is. Okay.
If you go to ColleenFrost.com. Another shameless plug.
I love it. So our firm, we serve Dallas, Denton, and Collin County. And Dallas seems to have already been completely... There's no more land, right? No more land to build.
Okay, where is Mark Cuban building this casino that's supposed to be coming in?
I don't know.
I'd like to know where if that's going to be in Dallas proper, because I'm like, Vista View Mall. I mean,
what is it?
Maybe
Valley View
or Valley View? Yeah, maybe.
Yes, I used to work there at a coffee shop.
Yeah.
It's looking a little bleak right now,
right? So maybe there. No, there is no land.
I don't know.
I mean, they're very proud of their dirt down there. It's very expensive. They scrape a lot and they start down there.
Sure.
In the M streets, it's so fun down there. Lower Greenville and all of that. It's
I don't know.
No, there's no more land. That's why everyone's going to Oklahoma.
Right.
It's all pushing north. I remember I talked to one broker and he was saying, truly the 121 Dallas tollway corridor is really going to be the new Dallas, and I see it in 5-10 years. Yeah, I see that.
I think that was the plan, isn't it? Called the $100 million mile.
Probably, yeah. You're
and I was just at Jerry World yesterday. For the whole weekend.
Yeah.
And it's not a terrible place. The restaurants, they have kind of everything that you have down here, but newer, cleaner, and nicer.
Yeah.
So, Well, guys, I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, of course.
And
Yeah.
I would love for people to have you as a resource, because having a couple that
Yeah.
can stand behind you and, show up, because you both have flexible schedules. I know you're in high demand because,
Good cop, bad cop,
love it.
or good cop. I know
And
it's good-
everyone
good
needs
cop,
that
bad cop.
dynamic. Well, no, it depends on the
It
day of the
depends,
week,
yeah.
right?
It does,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sometimes he'll get off the phone. He'll go, I was just talking with someone. I need you to get in there and call him back. I'm like, I got you.
Yeah.
Sometimes party in the
Right,
business,
yeah.
and sometimes it comes together,
That's
right?
right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then you guys have just started. Both your children are now realtors.
So Brendan is licensed, but he's an engineer like he was in his first life. And Riley is full-time licensed and practicing. Yeah.
And how many realtors do you have working for you?
We have 17.
17 now.
Yeah.
17.
So you have enough
Enough.
space for
Yeah.
capacity.
We
Oh,
grew
yeah.
we grew it, and it's almost like, when you have a kindergarten class of like 32 students and you wish you had a kindergarten class of 12 students. It's kind of like that. So we're at a great producing,
Yeah.
awesome agents now. Yeah.
Yeah, every agent is producing.
Yeah.
So that's
Takes
a
that
good thing.
liability down.
We wanted to keep it, short and concise and everyone producing type thing, and that's kind of where we have it now.
And do you have a physical office now?
We don't have a physical office. COVID kind of, shut everything down, and then everyone's preference is just to be remote. So, we'll do Zoom calls. We'll get together quarterly and stuff like that for happy hours and stuff like
think
that,
for-
and classes,
yeah.
legal classes. We'll have legal classes.
If you're a busy
quarterly.
realtor, I struggled with the bricks and mortar because I thought I'm supposed to be in my car out showing or be in the seller's house, walking the listing. So I never understood the bricks and mortar because I can multitask, and I assume I do it okay. And I really like not having bricks and mortar for us.
Yeah, it was nice having the office. I mean,
Yeah.
clients never really kind of came into it type thing. It was mostly just for the agents. And we did training and stuff like that. But then we kind of figured out that, a lot of this stuff, we can do virtually and then just get together when we need to. So that's worked out actually pretty well.
So your
Yeah.
business model has shifted with the
Yes,
times in the
yes,
last 3 years.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we're still in a brick and mortar capacity, but we're in a hybrid because clients still really need that face to face.
Sure.
Sure.
As you can imagine, you come to them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
We luckily do not come to our
That's right.
That might be a little bit awkward.
Yeah. We go to those locations sometimes.
We
That's
do.
okay.
Oh, I'm sure.
And he's usually carrying.
Most people are very, very polite and pleasant.
Well, when they're vacant.
Yeah.
We don't want
Yeah.
anyone popping out.
We
at
did have
us.
a weird one.
We did.
We did one little weird one where everyone was remote, right? So the wife that was divorcing, the husband was in Atlanta, and she was just letting him live there for free for years, just for free.
That's so sweet.
Yeah, and her attorney finally said, "You need to sell this asset." So we went over there, and we weren't sure if he was there or not, type of thing, or how friendly
He
or
had to be
unfriendly he
physically
wasn't.
removed, so we wanted to make sure he wasn't
okay.
hiding
We were
in a
told he was
closet.
gone, but we had to double check. And luckily, when I went inside, I'm like, okay, there's no power to this house, so I'm guessing he's gone. So, but anyway, yeah, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. It was very like, what's the TV show Law and Order? We had to like open the doors. Clear!
Yeah, so that was probably the most extreme, non-extreme case that we had. But yeah, normally it's pretty normal.
Thank you guys so much for coming in.
Yeah,
Of course,
And
thank you.
hopefully we will have plenty of people calling you guys asking for help in 2024.
Awesome.
Thanks, Natalie.